Conducting open source intelligence gathering, you will often need to scrape multiple websites for a lot of data, especially if you're doing an open source intelligence gathering exercise against a large company. They're going to have a very large social media footprint, and you're going to need to really dig deep on it as quickly as possible. And there's several ways to accomplish this. And the first one is the tried, tested, and true method of just doing it yourself. Going to these websites, finding the information, taking the notes, and writing it all down as you go. You can do a software-assisted one, and this is where you do some manual method where you're going to the websites, grabbing information, but you're also using software to go and scrape the websites to grab some information for you that you may not be able to get nearly as quickly. And then finally, there's the fully automated suite, and this is where it goes out and scrapes all the information, and it will actually take a look at it and try to point you to the most interesting information for your specific task. As with any space within IT, there's a lot of different software out there that can help you accomplish this task. So one of the pieces of software that I like to use is called Octoparse. Now what this does is this will go out and parse a website and give you all important information. Now Octoparse will provide you whatever information you want to see. They also provide information as a service. So you can actually hire Octoparse to go out and find specific information for you. If you don't want to do your open source intelligence gathering, you can ask Octoparse to do it for you, and they'll provide you with any information that they could find by scraping a website. Another application out there is called Dexy.io. Now Dexy isn't your typical scraping software. This is more designed towards retailers and big businesses looking for customer information, but this data can also be very useful for open source intelligence gathering. Another application out there is called Outwit Hub. Now what Outwit Hub does is it basically takes information on a website and puts it into a structured approach or a spreadsheet where you can actually view the information in tables and understand it in a more methodological way. So with Outwit Hub, what you're going to get is structured data that follows a set pattern based upon what the website has. And this is fantastic if you're an organized person and you want to see the data organized in a way that makes sense. The last tool I want to talk about is Zeit. Now, Zeit is a web crawler that's going to go and crawl websites for you, similar to how Octoparse works. Now, the benefit of using Zeit is that Zeit is actually made for developers. So there's an API you can connect to and use in order to conduct search queries and information gathering. So if you have a very customized approach, or if you're working for a large-scale open source intelligence gathering firm, you may want to use Zeit for your web parsing so that you can write your own systems behind it that's going to grab the important information you're looking for. So what are the benefits of using software versus doing this manually? Well, the first main benefit here is the breadth of data. You're going to get a lot more data to look at if you're using software because it's going to be able to grab information and data from sources that you can't see with your eyes on a website. And it's also going to do it at a tremendously faster speed than you can do. So what you can gather with software may take weeks of work if you're doing it manually. Additionally, the software is fairly simple to use today. So it's going to allow you to do this quickly and give you a lot of information, and it's going to be easy to do. It also typically lacks a fingerprint. So if I go to LinkedIn, and let's say I was accidentally logged in as myself, someone's going to see that I looked at their profile. If I'm using software to do this or using a service to do this, chances are they're not going to see that fingerprint on their website or see that fingerprint within their data. The data you get from software is often connected to other data points, so you can see sort of how this data all connects visually when you're gathering the data. And that's going to allow you to make better decisions about your open source intelligence. So while there are benefits to using software, there are benefits to doing this manually as well. The biggest benefit to doing this manually is the relevance and retention of the data by the individual doing the investigation. You can make sure that the data you have is relevant and that you have it in active memory for when you're actually going to do any type of social engineering exercise. You can make sure that the data you're gathering is targeted. Software is more of a grape shot approach where it's sort of just spray and hope that you hit something. With this, it's very targeted. You're going to look at specific individuals within the company because you're not going to have enough time to look at everyone within the company. The ease of committal to memory with this information is very important because you've spent the time and read the data and become connected with the individuals and targets that you've acquired. You're going to commit that to memory a lot easier within your brain. So when you're going back to this information, when you're doing some type of social engineering engagement, that's going to be fresh on your mind and you're not going to be reaching for straws if you get stuck in a comfortable situation. And oftentimes, this will give you a very intimate understanding of a specific target because you may spend hours or even days looking at one individual within the company and getting to know them on a personal level that they may not even know themselves. There are some challenges in doing scraping, though. And one of the things I want to touch on is privacy law. Now, privacy law varies from jurisdiction to jurisdiction, so it's important that you are aware of any privacy laws within the jurisdiction that you are operating in. You do not want to break privacy law or dig too deep on an individual. Now, I know this is open source information, but there are some gray sites that you can go to that certainly operate in that gray area of law, and you really want to make sure that if you're doing this for a living, you're doing it above board as much as possible. You want to pay attention to any policy changes that your organization has and that the target organization has as well. Any policy changes in regards to scraping you have to pay attention to because you don't want to tip your hand to the organization or the target that you're looking at conducting an attack against, and you also want to make sure that you're following any rules that you have to follow under your rules of engagement as an organization. And this leads me sort of to that gray area, the ethical issues of scraping. How much information on an individual is too much? Now, this is more of a personal choice on the matter, but as soon as you start getting into kids and kids' schools and family, this is where that ethical line typically starts to become blurred. And it's very important that your organization that you're working for, or you as a contractor, are ensuring that you're following your ethical principles when conducting any type of scraping information because you're really going to dig deep on individuals, and some people don't truly understand how much of their personal information is out there on the internet.